Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ghana Revenue Authority questions and denies 132 million cedi indebtedness as it questions propriety of agreement with National Identification Authority, insisting it lacks regulatory and governance approvals. Also this afternoon, government set to outdoor a program aimed at reforming artisanal and small-scale mining across the country. And much later, we look at the car theft phenomenon and the impact it is having on car dealership. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority has expressed surprise over recent claims by the National Identification Authority, NIA, concerning outstanding financial commitment. This follows the NIA's decision to disconnect the GRA from its identity verification system, citing unpaid debt for services rendered. In a press release issued by its Communications and Public Affairs Department, the GRA questioned the legitimacy of the debt being claimed by the NIA. The authority says the said transaction, which is believed to have created a legacy debt prior to 2025, did not receive the necessary regulatory and governance approvals. The GRA maintains that its operational standards do not permit the enforcement of financial commitments that fall outside proper regulatory protocols. The NIA's decision to disconnect GRA from its verification platform on Tuesday grounded businesses at the Tema port. Here's Samson Asaki Awingobit, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, was disconnected from the Identity Verification Service, IVS platform, by the National Identification Authority, NIA, over non-payment of usage fees in excess of 376 million cedis. The IVS platform is a critical part of the process for clearing goods at the ports. Without the ability to verify the identities of individuals and businesses, the GRA's Customs Division cannot process the necessary paperwork for imports and exports. This has left many business owners stranded, leading to significant delays in the clearance of goods at the ports.
I think that this is a shame. They should apologize to Ghanaians, especially those who wanted to clear their cargo at the port. Because of this banter between NIA and GRA, you have to end up paying demurrage and rent. Many importers cargo are running to demurrage if they cannot verify it by NIA, GRA on the NIA system before you can proceed to do the entrance.
The situation creates a great deal of uncertainty for the business community. Without a clear timeline for the restoration of services, importers and exporters are left in limbo, unable to plan their logistics and supply chains effectively.
The Minister of Interior, and I want to call on Minister of Finance, that these two ministries, they should communicate so that they can build rapport and they can call their agency head to order and get other GRA Commissioner General to pay to NIA, because we cannot be using my system and will not be paying me.
The NIA has stated that the disconnection is a measure of last resort due to the severe financial strain it is facing from unpaid debts from various government institutions.
And that was a News Desk report. Let's connect with my colleague Judith Brown, who is engaging NIA officials. She joins us live on the phone. Judith, beyond the statement, we do understand that the National Identification Authority has also been reacting to the GRA statement. What have you gathered?
Okay, so I just engaged the PRO of the National Identification Authority, and he, in fact, has debunked what the GRA is saying about the non-existence of a contract. Well, according to him, a memorandum of understanding was signed between both parties back in 2018. That's specifically on the 13th of November 2018. So during that memorandum of understanding, there were signatories, of course, between both parties to that contract. And he even says that an amount of 18 million cedis was paid by the GRA 2 years ago for that exact contract. And so he does not understand why they say there was no existing contract between both parties. And in fact, he showed us that memorandum of understanding and shows clearly that there was in fact an existing contract between the GRA and the NIA. And so for them, he says that currently they're owing to a tune of 376 million cedis. And they're not the only government agency owing them as of now. They say the Passport Office is also owing over $20 million. The NHI is also owing over $58 million. DBLA and Smith, however, have shown commitment, willing to issue a check to defray those costs. So he says that Passport Office as well as NHI, have been given up to the end of August to make payments, or they would also be taken off that verification database. And so that's kindly the information we are getting from the NIA kindly on the issue with the GRA as well as other government agencies. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Judith Brown there. But she was indicating that indeed she spoke to the PRO of the NIA. Let's listen to exactly what he said.
This indebtedness predates the current management of the National Identification Authority. But since we took over, we sent a number of demand notices to the Ghana Revenue Authority. Let me hasten to add that PRA is not the only institution that is owing the National Identification Authority. There are other governmental institutions that are also owing.
And you had that soundbite of William Ampoma Dallas. He speaks for the National Identification Authority. Earlier, you heard my colleague Judith Brown, who spoke to him. We do apologize for the poor quality of that sound. Let's speak to Dr. Julius Nanaya Ojima. He's a policy analyst and the Executive Director, Center for Economic and Financial Analysis. Good afternoon to you, sir. If you can hear us, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Beatrice.
First, what's your own understanding of what may have accounted for this impasse and why the revenue, or why we can't be making... Okay, let me just stick with what you understand to be the reason we are having this impasse.
Good afternoon to your cherished listeners. I think that this is clearly the case for an oversight responsibility that both parties, owe to themselves. In the government sector, especially in the public financial management space, there are so many laws, regulations, controls, approvals, governance level for state institutions to go through. And it just happened to me that either one of them, especially NIA, that is rendering the services to Ghana Revenue Authority, has breached their own duty in putting in place a contract that will be able to regulate some of these services that they supply to the Ghana Revenue Authority. Because I cannot see no reason why a state institution, both of them are huge. If you look at the services and the responsibilities that the NIA provides to, Ghana Revenue Authority, and some of the state institutions, it's huge. So why can't you have a proper drafted contract in place, since it is going to amount to some financial obligations on the persons or the individuals or the body that will rely on your services?
Sorry to butt in here. My colleague Judith Brown spoke to the PRO and he claimed that indeed there is a memorandum of understanding between it and the GRA. But
MOUs are not contracts. I mean, if I have read through the GRA, a response that they have also brought up, and they were saying that NIA was rendering the services within their office space, meaning that GRA was also providing rent services to NIA. So was it a case that will house you to take care of your office rent or office space, and then in turn, the services that you also provide to us by relying and using your platform for data verification will also not pay you your money? Is it what was going on previously? Because per what they said, that is the existing agreement that they have. So you do this for us, you also do this for us. I think that shouldn't be the case in our public financial management space. there's more to be done. I mean, these are huge, giant institutions. Ghana Revenue Authority is really a tax institution. We should not be doing some of these things. They know better. Equally, on the side of NIA, they should also have done better in making sure that they put or make sure that GRA have a proper document. That is why their legal office or their legal departments are there, to be able to facilitate with some of these agreements. At the end of the day, in the case of disputes, the reason why we do contract is that in the case of dispute like this, the contract will spell out the terms, the conditions, and the obligations that both parties will have to render to each other. So it's just an oversight that has really happened. I believe that, they should be able to solve it within the shortest possible time, because it does not give that public confidence and the public image that we expect from these both, institutions. NIA is about data, it's about identity of Ghanaians. So if these things are happening, the trust, the mistrust, the lack of confidence that people even place in your system is another thing. And on the side of the GRA, importers and exporters are now going through this burden of lack of data verification at the port. Recently, the minister said that import duties or custom duties are not doing well. So if there is a case that GRA cannot verify data for importers and exporters at the port, I mean, lack of compliance, people would know the flow of revenue will not go like the way we expect it to go. So they shouldn't really escalate this thing further. I believe that there are other relevant institutions that they can report the matter to, like SIGA, State Interest and Governance Authority. That's why they are there. There's even Public Services Commission. They are also there. If they exhaust all these things and still they can't find a common ground, they can escalate it to the Chief of Staff and the President to solve this thing really fast so that it will not go further.
Would you say that, or would you agree with opinion that perhaps we're seeing this happen because of the general lackadaisical or seeming lackadaisical attitude among contracts within, regarding contracts within government agencies? Because we've seen that about the Electricity Company of Ghana as well, where we've had state institutions or ECG huge sums, and it takes really a bold leader to be able to go there and disconnect them.
Yes, absolutely so. If you look at some of the audit reports from the audit service or the auditor general, most of the payment that goes out to cover certain supply of services or supply of goods within the public sector space is as a result of lack of contract. Sometimes you check their audit and you realize that payments were just being made for a particular services, and then there's no laid down contract in place to sanction that particular payment, whether it's for expense or a staff payment or like in a form of emolument or any other thing. So there's a lot. I mean, if you look at the public space, even though it has the highest laws, controls, we have so many laws within it happens to be that there is a lack of compliance and enforcement within the public sector space. And that is why some of these issues come up. Sometimes people would offer people with bigger offices would want to house certain people, and because it is government to government, they treat it like, oh, we are all government, so we'll not put in place proper documentation to make sure that whatever we are doing, we are being, binded. And then they execute it and they go. Now, when there's a problem, they are now looking for who did what. Sometimes no document to verify and to prove. So I agree 100% that it's high time we revisit our contract laws and make sure that if we are working within the public sector space and we want to engage in any financial transactions, with the first document we need to generate because of dispute resolution or because certain disagreements can arise as a cause of transacting amongst ourselves, we put in place contracts. And thankfully, if there is a lack of legal officers, now we have so many lawyers churning out, and I believe that institutions can begin to look at them so that they can have an in-house legal unit or department to be helping them in these daily contracts, covering transactions on a daily basis, because I know that most of the state institutions engage services or suppliers or vendors so many times on a daily basis. And all these things has to go to legal, sometimes back to procurement. Procurement have to look at what they have to do with public procurement. Legal will have to do all those terms and conditions and make sure that there are, clauses for damages and all that before finally you can execute the contract and it is signed, and then you give the other to the supplier who is coming to do the contract for you. So it's a bit of a learning for all of us, and I believe that this oversight will not happen going forward, most importantly when it has to do with these giant, government institutions that we have in the country.
Doc, in like 30 seconds, we've heard the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana complaining about how this has already impacted them. I know you said that it is important for the agencies to work on this as soon as possible. In the meantime, how do you think they should deal with it so that these individuals are not impacted so much?
I read the report by the head of public affairs on the side of the NI. I think that the way they were going around solving the issue, for me, wasn't the best, even though they are trying to exercise their rights. I believe that Ghana Revenue Authority too is a state institution, so even though they failed to respond or they couldn't reach an amicable settlement to the Revenue Authority, going ahead and shutting them down wasn't the best of approach that they could have exercised in solving this issue, because we all know that on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, people are paying their taxes. On a daily basis, people are importing and exporting. And the IVS platform, which is the identity verification platform, GRA will heavily, rely on that. So
we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Dr. Julius Nanaya-Ojima. He's a policy analyst and the executive director, Center for Economic and Financial Analysis. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us. Some 16 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the Ashanti region as regards the Lands Ministry. Don't go away.
It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're still here on the Midday News on Shui FM 92.7. Now, to ensure sustainable employment and environmental restoration in mining communities, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is set to unveil the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program. The initiative aims to regulate and support artisanal and small-scale mining operations while enforcing strict environmental guidelines. A key focus of the program is to complete the elimination of mercury in gold extraction, addressing a major environmental and health concern in Ghana's mining sector. And my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar joins us live on the line now. Ibrahim, just tell us how this program will ensure compliance with environmental regulations among small-scale miners. And we've lost Ibrahim Abubakar again. We'll try and reconnect to him. Meanwhile, the Land and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua is calling on large-scale mining companies to partner with the government by supporting small-scale mining cooperatives' initiatives to combat illegal mining. Ghana has long struggled to curb illegal mining, a major concern for many. The Mahama administration is taking a new approach through the Small-Scale Mining Cooperative Initiative, which aims to organize informal miners into supervised groups. During a working visit to Goldfields and Anglo Gold Ashanti Iduaprim mine in Takwa, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua called on mining companies to partner with the government in supporting small-scale mining cooperatives, leveraging their expertise to combat illegal mining.
The other aspect that I propose to them is that we should find a formula to support the small-scale mining cooperative initiative. And I believe that we will come back to it because that's a win-win for us. The expertise, their safety records, and how they do responsible mining, we must extend it to the communities. So everybody who wants to engage in small-scale mining will know that it can be done, but it must be done right without destroying our water bodies, our forest reserve, and that's the key.
Senior Manager for Sustainability at Anglo Gold Ashanti Iduaprim Mine, Stephen Ajay, who welcomed the initiative, has proposed a dialogue to discuss implementation and ensure sustainability.
Obviously, it's a good call. You know, how we're going to regularize this small scale, let me put it, small scale, but we all know it's a sort of some illegal activity that is happening all over. And it's a good time for government, to make this call as to how we're going to put these people together, to mine in a manner that will not be detrimental to the growth or the sustainability of this country. So for me, it's a good call. However, I was just having that chat with him. How are we going to do it in such a way that it will not end up becoming something else that will create more complications than even what we have witnessed? So to call on the mining companies to do some of these jobs, I think it requires a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation, and obviously that is going to happen. When they come together, when we all come together as one people, go through the program rigorously, check the pros and cons and everything, then we can put some good measures in place to make it work. It's a call from the government and we need to all support it.
Irama Smith, TV3 News, Takwa. And Irama Smith brought that report to us. And still on mining, the Ghana Blue Water Guard has launched a swift operation to drive out illegal miners from the Bia River in the Swaman Dadieso district of the Western region. A report by Emmanuel Sowa.
Speaking to us, for many, they'll make the argument quite.
The operation follows a tip-off received by the District Chief Executive of Sioman, Vasco Obo, that illegal miners were using Shamfang machines to pollute the Bia River. He swiftly organized a task force made up of the Blue Water Guards and police personnel in Dadieso. Although the illegal miners managed to flee, the team was able to seize 6 Shamfang machines and set ablaze several mining equipment. The DCE, Vasco Obo, who expressed disappointment over the continuous destruction of water bodies by the illegal miners, lamented that despite relentless efforts to drive them away, they continue to cause havoc.
Since I became DCE, I started fighting illegal miners, especially those who are mining on river bodies and then forest areas or zones. And I must admit that there were some kind of results achieved. But then, these miners or illegal miners are so recalcitrant. They are so recalcitrant to the extent that with the little opportunity that they get, they try to take advantage. And the truth of the matter is that to fight this cause, you need a lot of resources. And we cannot commit all the assembly's resources into fighting illegal mining and other stuff. We can do our best. But then my plea is that we should, government through the Mineral Commission and other stakeholders come on board. We find a dedicated source of funding for this.
And you had the Emmanuel Sowe's report read to you. Let's bring you some more. And the Minister for Education, Haruna Adu, says the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, will receive some 69 million cedis by Friday to settle outstanding debt owed the council. The release of the funds is to ensure the smooth conduct of this year's examinations for final year students in second cycle institutions. He made the remarks during an engagement between the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and all agencies under the Ministry of Education in Koforidia in the Eastern region.
I drew my attention to a deficit of 69 million Ghana cedis. By Friday, I'm optimistic that they should get that release, and all is set for the conduct of the West Africa WASI examinations. A very worrying, disturbing phenomena of phone-aided malpractice during the conduct of examinations, and both parents and students be aware. Government will deal ruthlessly with any teacher and student and any school administrator found culpable. Policy shift of President Mahama was to redirect the financing of free senior high school to the Ghana Education Trust Fund, the GET Fund. So it comes with an opportunity cost. The GET Fund cannot concentrate on its core investment in infrastructure because otherwise resources meant for GET Fund is now used to finance free senior high school.
And he had the Minister for Education, Haruna Adu, vehicles believed to have been stolen from countries like the United States and Canada have been impounded or retrieved by security agencies in the last few days, raising urgent questions for many Ghanaians. For instance, how can you tell if the car you're buying is clean or if you're unknowingly driving someone else's stolen property? Christian Yale is in town to engage some vehicle and asset dealers for their insights. He joins us live on the line. Chris, are you able to tell us where you are now and what you found in terms of some answers to these questions?
Beatrice, I can tell you that I'm currently at Kaneshi Festival just to see Accra Academy. When you come here, there are a number of garages here, beautiful cars that have been put up for sale, but on that thorny issue of stolen vehicles and how the security is now stepping up its game to crack down on their importation. When you speak to most of the dealers here, they tell you that, see, there are a number of things that one needs to consider. The chassis number, which is one, but even that they tell you that, see, that is not enough to tell you that a car is genuine, whether stolen or not. And so, before you go to buy or in the process of buying a car, ensure that you get what we call the proof of purchase from the dealer, as well as the proof of ownership. That will tell you that the car has been successfully transferred from one person to the other, and you are in the safe hands. Let me engage Clifford Ansu just briefly. He is the former secretary of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association for an insight. Briefly, talk to me. What we need to look out when we are going to buy such vehicles?
What you have to look for is one, the title of the car. The title contains the information of the car that you are going to buy. Number two, you have to get the proof of payment from the person you are buying the car from, so that in case of any litigation in the future, you'll be able to bring back the receipt to prove that indeed you bought the car from the right person.
But there is that question about whether I'm able to retrieve my money after the car has been taken away from me. Is that possible? Is there a way to strike a deal between the two of us?
The possibility of getting your money back if the car is being taken away from you by the security agencies and the car, does not return to you, for getting your money is going to be a very difficult one because the car in question already has been taken away. So the dealer here cannot or will not be able to get the hold of the car and sell and perhaps refund the money to you. So this agreement is going to be between you, the buyer, and then the dealer. When you come to a gentleman's agreement, then if you understand that, or in fact your situation is dire, or your situation, is very serious one, then you also consider the dealer that, in fact, as a matter of fact, maybe the dealer who sold the car to you did not even have an idea.
All right.
Christian Yale, we'll have to get back to you in our subsequent bulletins. And you have my colleague Christian Yale engaging a car dealer on what to look out for so you don't buy a stolen vehicle. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on Sri FM 92.7. Log on to srinews.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily. Bismarck Awusai standing by.
Captain. To encourage
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusai. Coming up this afternoon, inflation drops for 7th straight month to 12.1%. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu cites easing price pressures as food and non-food costs fall to that rate.
Is the board chair of BBC Limited.
To me, as teams, we work together diligently.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusai. Coming up this afternoon, inflation drops for 7th straight month to 12.1%. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu cites easing price pressures as food and non-food costs fall.
The lowest since October 2021 and the 7th straight decline in inflation. On month-on-month basis, the general price level increased by 0.7% between June and July.
And Bank of Ghana warns of risks from rising bank exposure to government debt as Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama urges financial institutions to rethink business models to support economic growth.
Across the region, we see a sharp rise in banks' holdings of government debt from 20% of credit portfolios in 2010 to over 35% in 2023.
These stories and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Ghana's inflation rate has continued its downward trend for the 7th consecutive month, slowing to 12.1% in July 2025, its lowest level since October 2021. According to data from the Ghana Statistical Service, the decline is largely due to easing food prices and subdued non-food inflation. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu says the consistent drop is a clear sign that the pressures that have driven inflation in recent months are receding. He noted that while prices of goods and services still rose slightly on a monthly basis, the annual rate is showing broad-based deceleration across food, non-food, goods and services.
Year-on-year headline inflation for July 2025 was 12.1%, representing a decline of 1.6 percentage points from the June figure of 13.7%, marking the lowest since October 2021 and the seventh straight decline in inflation. On month-on-month basis, the general price level increased by 0.7% between June and July. If you look at food inflation, as we said, it declined by 1.2 percentage points to 15.1% in July. And the prices of these food items increased by 0.6% between June and July. Non-food inflation dropped by 1.9 percentage points to 9.5%, single digit. But price level of non-food items increased by 0.7% between June and July. With regards to goods and services, its inflation dropped by 1 percentage point to 14.2% in July. Their prices, however, increased by 0.5% between June and July 2025. Similarly, if you look at services, its inflation dropped by 3.1 percentage points to 6.2%, with the general price level for services increasing by 1.3% between June and July 2025.
And that was government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu on inflation dropping for 7th straight month to 12.1%. Now, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, is raising red flags over the growing trend of banks investing heavily in government securities, warning that this could crowd out credit to the private sector. He is therefore calling on financial institutions to reassess their business models, not only to preserve profitability in a changing economic landscape, but also to play a more impactful role in supporting long-term economic development. Dr. Isiama says central banks now face the added challenge of balancing price and financial stability amid increasing government dependence on domestic borrowing.
Even as we modernize, we face new dilemmas. Central banks today must balance price stability with financial stability while also navigating increasing government reliance on domestic financing. Across the region, we see a sharp rise in banks' holdings of government debt from 20% of credit portfolios in 2010 to over 35% in 2023, and Ghana mirrored this trend. As of June 30th, 2025, total gross loans by banks in Ghana stood at a little over 89 billion Ghana cedis, while investments in governments or Bank of Ghana or Government of Ghana securities amounted to 162.9 billion. This reflects a worrying skew towards risk-free assets which crowd out private sector credits and dulls the potency of monetary policy transmission.
And that was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama. The Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana is calling on the Bank of Ghana to urgently address the persistent foreign exchange access challenges affecting businesses. Despite recent signs of steady recovery, the association notes that commercial banks are still unable to meet the forex needs of legitimate businesses, forcing many traders to resort to the black market where foreign currencies are available at inflated rates. Executive Secretary Samson Asaki Awengobit, in his address at the association's 11th anniversary and official launch of its website, emphasized the need for responsive and targeted interventions.
Most traders now resort to the black markets where rates are unregulated and volatile. This is a national concern, and we are using this platform to call on the Bank of Ghana to rise from its slumber and establish a unified forex rate in the pipeline, compelling all commercial banks to adhere to transparent, fair, and business-friendly forex distribution system. The disparity between the interbank rate and that of the black market rate rippling effect hold. Unbearable, skyrocketing prices of goods and services and further erosion of investors' confidence in our economy. We demand pragmatic effort, policy enforcement, and the political will to address this looming crisis head-on.
And that was Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobit. Now, the long-abandoned Fisheries College in Anomabo is on track to be completed by the end of the year, a project that has been stalled for 13 years. Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Emilia Arthur, has been tasked with ensuring the college is finished and operational. The project, which was initiated in 2011, is seen as crucial for training students in fisheries and conducting vital research for the sector. The completion of the college, which includes lecture theatres, a principal's bungalow and fish ponds, is expected to provide a significant boost to Ghana's fishing industry and support the livelihoods of millions of people.
Fisheries College in Anomabo, it's done. Action is going. By the end of this year, Anomabo will start functioning. The construction work, look, it's been 13 years since Ghana touched the Fisheries College in Anomabo. We just have to finish it, and we are finishing it. Both the president and the vice president have given me ultimatum. We are finishing it, operationalizing it. We'll start school. We'll go to fishery school. All of you media people should come to fishery school so you understand the sector that has massive potential for economic growth, but we don't really recognize it.
And that was the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Emilia Arthur, bringing us to the end of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Urban Blend is next with Black Rasta. Please stay.